Today we're asking the question, why does it seem like no one really understands what I'm going through? I'm Jared, and thank you so much for visiting with me today. I cannot be the only one who really feels a lot of times that nobody gets exactly what I'm going through, that everybody kind of gets it a little bit, but not really, and you try to explain it to them and they're just like, yeah, I don't know, it's not that, and you're like, this is monumental, you don't understand what I came through this, I got through these things, I handled it all, and I don't know why that came out kind of Arnold, but we have a busy schedule, we have people that we know that are like, wow, I'm really busy and I've done one thing today. And you're like, wow, that's not really all that busy. There's a lot of more busy things you could be doing. But then there's other people who look at our lives and that's all you're doing? Oh, I get 12 things done a day and I'm always busy. So there's always somebody that is less busy and more busy, but nobody totally gets how your busy just is a lot to handle. What about pain? Nobody really understands what one person's pain versus another person's pain is. Somebody gets a headache and it's devastating. Other people handle headaches all the time. But we can't really compare those apples to apples because nobody can truly experience what the other person deals with. A stubbed toe or ticklish feet. There's a wide gamut. I have sensitive teeth to cold. I can't chew ice. It would be amazing if I could, but I can't. So I don't know what that sensation is like, and it's difficult to explain to my wife what it's like to have that kind of pain. And I don't even fully understand it myself, but I can't explain that to somebody else. All of the struggles that you go through, nobody really gets it. Everybody that's ever been looked down upon because of their race, their creed, their sex, their orientation, their view on life, their skin color, their social economic status, nobody really understands what any of those things means in those things. We all can feel at some point that nobody truly gets what we're dealing with. And here is the big truth. No one ever will. No one ever really will know, because there's a host of factors variables that we have to account for. Your personality, the time period you were born into, the circumstances around your birth and life, the personalities of the people in your life. All of these things are variables that cannot be understood by everyone else. It is an infinite amount of variables that can change drastically everything. So nobody truly can get it. Nobody can really understand what that is to you, because we're all very unique in all of the things that we've had to deal with, the things that we currently are still dealing with, the things that we haven't even begun to deal with, and the things that feel like we will always deal with them. All of these factors make it impossible for somebody to know what that is like, except for Jesus. I am the Spirit, the ever-present God. Jesus knows you well enough and knows what you've been through, understands your personality and the personality of everyone around you, and is really the only one who can truly understand what we're going through. So we're about to take a real hard left turn, but we're going to bring it back around. You just got to trust me a little bit, okay? So we're going to go from that to talking about the Tumblr Doctor Who fandom. I know, it's a big jump, but bear with me for a second. I had seen a post probably a decade ago, let's not talk about that, about how Gallifreyan which is the language of the Time Lords. Unofficially and officially is these like circular rings with like dots and lines on them, and it's a very complicated language, but it's very cool looking, and I encourage you to check it out. I will put up on the screen the word "the Doctor" so you can see what Gallifreyan looks like. And somebody commented how it looks kind of like a inside of a watch, like an old school watch with like gears and stuff. And then somebody else commented on there and was like, what if their name is their timeline? And I was like, that's a really cool idea. Like, what a cool idea that your name could be your timeline. And then that got me thinking, as all things tend to do. I get thinking on a lot of stuff. Let's jump over to Revelation 2:17. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who conquers, I will give some of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone with a new name on the stone that no one knows except the one who receives it. Oh. So, what if your name, your new name that Jesus gives you, is actually a complete description of every victory you've ever had? What if your new name is a description of everything you've ever overcome, everything that you've conquered in life, the things that you've dealt with, the struggles you've had, the things that you've just had to brute force overcome, everything that you've suffered through and endured and pushed through? What if your new name is a word? And let's keep in mind that God has a language that we wouldn't even remotely begin to comprehend. He spoke all of the universe into existence with this language. So a word, one word, could potentially be an entire description of your life, of everything that you've overcome. And it's in context to the one who conquers, to the one who overcomes. Listen to what I'm saying. When you overcome, I will give you a stone with a new name written on it, and only you understand that name. Because he can give you a name that perfectly describes everything that you've gone through, the struggles that you've suffered through, and the victories that you've overcome. So if all of that is true, if this is actually how it's going to end up being, which I can't say, I'm not a deep theologian, and this might be heretical for all I know, but it's a really cool exercise of like, wouldn't it be awesome if the name that God gives you is a perfect description of what you've gone through and overcome? So what does your name sound like right now? Like, what would that name be right now? And the most important question that there is what do you want that name to sound like? Like, what do you want at the end of your life? What do you want that name to say? That you fizzled out, that you just couldn't get over things, that you whined a whole lot, and that you complained a bunch, or that you overcame everything that was thrown in your way, that you looked suffering in the eyeballs and you said, no, you move. Like, that you just kept going, and that you dealt with everything that came your way and every obstacle, and you overcame all of it. Like, what do you want that name to sound like? And to anyone out there that's feeling extra hopeless about that you've already wasted your name, please, first of all, review that one episode where we talk about, did I miss God's plan for my life? Like, go back and watch that one. But let's throw this in here, is that this story hits me real hard every time that we talk about it. In Luke 23:39 through 43, Jesus is currently dying on the cross next to two thieves, people that had committed crimes and were, I think, probably being overly punished for their crimes. I don't know what they stole. I can't imagine that anything that they could have stolen would be worth dying on a cross like that. But nevertheless, they're dying on a cross. One of the criminals who were hanged railed at him, saying, "Are you not the Christ? Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." But the other rebuked him, saying, "Do you not fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we are receiving the due reward for our deeds. But this man has done nothing wrong." And he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." And Jesus said to him, "Truly I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise." Here's a guy whose story is clearly done. He's made some really wrong decisions, and he's on the last couple of breaths that he's got. And he says, "Jesus, don't forget me, please." And Jesus says, "I got you. You'll be with me in paradise today." So I want to be super clear right here. Your story is not done. No matter where you are in that story, your story is not done. There is so much left to go. What do you want your name to sound like? What do you want to see your life made of? Let's all make a name for ourselves that Jesus can put down on a stone and he can show us. Here's the name I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you the one who overcomes and then explains a thing that nobody else is ever going to comprehend, because it's going to perfectly describe all of those variables and all of the things that you've gone through and dealt with and had to overcome in every way, in every place that you've ever relied on Jesus to get you through all of those things. That's what's going to be on that stone. And in order to make a name for yourself, what are you overcoming? What is it that you have to deal with? What are the things that you have to tackle in life and deal with? I'm a big fan of writing stuff down. This has been a new thing that God has clearly been trying to communicate to me, because it's come to me through multiple channels of different people talking about writing stuff down. So let's write down big things. Let's write down, like in video game terms, this is the boss or one of the bosses. Let's write those things down. But also, let's write down some things that are henchmen for those bosses. Like, what are the littler things that you have to overcome? In fact, let's write this down right now. All right. I just wrote down some things here. Financial things, a couple of relationship stuff, and like insecurity, dealing with that, and like a spiritual one. So I just wrote down some things, and these are I'm going to put them down. I put them on my iPad here, but I'm going to put them on a sticky note, and I'm going to put it on my mirror in my bathroom so that I can stare those things in the eyeballs every morning and be like, no, you are going down, because I'm going to make a name for myself. This is absolutely where I'm at right now, and this is something that I want to do. You are an overcomer. You are a conqueror. You chew these things and spit them out for breakfast. Like, you can't do this. Wait, what? That's right. You can't do this. We're not meant to do this alone. The reason that Jesus knows what we've gone through is that we're supposed to walk through it with him. In fact, I would argue that for the most part, the only thing that you can overcome is with Jesus's help. When you know that you are loved, that you are cared for, that you are seen, that Jesus is always with you, when you know that he has value for you, then that gives you the strength to be able to overcome anything. When we grow closer to life itself and an unending love spills over into our lives to help us deal with, and I would say not just deal with, but overcome the things that we're dealing with, the suffering, the frustration, the pain, the hurt, the anger, the busy, all of that is for us to overcome side by side with Jesus, knowing that he's got our back and that he's calling us to something greater. And he's so excited to see us rise up to the challenge and say, Jesus, I need your help with this. I cannot do this on my own, but I want to overcome. And he's got your back. Listen to that fire and that voice inside that says, you've got this because I've got you. And that's how we overcome everything that comes into our way. And we're going to go down fighting no matter what. Even if it is the last thing that we do, we're not giving in. We're going to stand tall because you are loved, you are seen, you are cared for, you are not alone. And welcome to the Martyr Life.